Well, it's my pleasure to introduce Mayor Bob Simmons. And as a personal anecdote, I have been on the open space walking tour with Mayor Simmons, and I can say that he can name every single flora on the walking trail itself, every fern, every plant, every flower, and he can not only do that, he can also name every visible flora in the near distance. It's an amazing thing, and then he tests you afterwards. Mayor Bob Simmons was elected to his first term on the City Council in November 2008. He served as mayor in 2012 and again in 2015. He was formerly a member of the Walnut Creek Planning Commission, serving from 2004 to 2008 and serving as chair in 2006. Prior to that, he served on the Park, Recreation, and Open Space Commission from 1999 to 2004, chairing in 2003. His community affiliations have included Walnut Creek Open Space Foundation, past president and board member, Castle Rockfield Restoration Committee, co-chair, Northgate Bronco Boosters, board member, Walnut Creek Little League, board member, and Sustainable Walnut Creek. In addition, Bob has been a youth sports coach, an avid hiker with Orinda Hiking Club, a docent for the Bedford Gallery's public art walking tours, a volunteer tutor with Diablo Valley Literacy Council, a volunteer with Friends of Ignacio Valley Library, a mediator for the Congress of Neutrals, and a master gardener with the Contra Costa County Master Gardener Program. Bob obtained his Bachelor of Arts degree in economics from the University of Wisconsin in 1970 and earned a Juris Doctorate degree from the University of Wisconsin in 1973. While working as an attorney for the Office of General Counsel, U.S. Department of Agriculture, Bob also earned a master's degree in natural resource law from the National Law Center at George Washington University. When he retired in 2004, he was the regional attorney for the department's Pacific region, supervising 25 attorneys in 3 states. Bob was born and raised in the Milwaukee, Wisconsin area. He and his wife Judy moved to Walnut Creek in 1987 with their 2 sons, Paul and Mike, both of whom attended Walnut Acres, Foothill Middle, and Northgate High Schools. Paul graduated from San Diego State in 2004, and Mike graduated from UC San Diego in 2006. Before Mayor Simmons gets up to speak, he has told me that the city is going to show a short video.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I first wanted to give a special thanks to Police Officer Anthony Orozco and to Liz Payne of our communication staff for putting together that wonderful video. Anthony did the filming with a drone, and Liz helped put it all together, and it was the first time we had a chance to use a drone photography in the State of Our City address. I would also like to start by first giving a thanks to all of our wonderful city employees led by our city manager, Ken Nordoff, and a lot of them are here in the audience. Every day they work hard to keep our city safe, to keep it clean, to keep our parks clean and capable of being used, to provide recreational services and to provide the arts and a lot of other things. And I would just like you to join me in a round of applause for our wonderful employees. And for both Jay and Scott and the board of the Chamber, I would like to thank you for everything you do. When I travel around and talk to mayors from other cities, they are always amazed at how community-oriented our chamber is. And I think it is one of the reasons why we are as successful a community as we are. So thank you for that. 2014 was a very busy and productive year. I'm going to talk about 5 areas when I talk about 2014. They're going to be public safety, fiscal issues, support for business, the environment, and the quality of life. Some of the things Walnut Creek did in 2014 include, for public safety, our police department increased its community policing by placing school resource officers at both Los Lomas and at Northgate, and by opening up an office in the Rossmore Shopping Center. Our police department is also working on using social media so that our beat officers can be more connected to the neighborhoods that they patrol. We improved as a city pedestrian and bicycle safety through a lot of street improvements, considering both Buena Vista improvements and the ongoing Geary Road improvements. And with our 2 new scramble intersections that we had to spend some time making sure people understood how to use them, but people generally seem to like what we're doing there. For fiscal restraint, we adopted a balanced budget for 2014-2016 that included modest increases for our employees and the continued funding of our library hours, which is really important to our community. We moved towards greater transparency of our city through a significant investment in IT, and you should expect to see a new, more user-friendly city website very shortly. For our business community, we sought to revitalize the Shadelands Business Park, and I think Scott talked in detail about the effort going on there, but we did it through approval of the Shadelands Improvement District and through approval of the Orchards, a retail project in that area. In the very near future, as Scott indicated, as a result of an agreement between the PBID and County Connection, the bus that serves that area and the Pleasant Hill BART will be free to all users, and that will be a significant enhancement, I believe, to the Shadelands area. We moved to enhance our downtown by allocating $500,000, sorry. We sometimes get confused on zeros here. To a downtown enhancement initiative, and more importantly, by deciding to work with the local business community to decide how those monies should be invested. You should expect a decision in March. We moved to increase our parking experience by making significant changes in our downtown parking and by making the changes more visible with the large banners on our city garages. I did a public walk in January, and we're showing a number of downtown residential construction sites, and I came up to this spot and I told the people just to look up in the garage, and that was the one place they all stopped. They wanted to read the sign because they wanted to see what the parking experience was like in Walnut Creek. The result of all of the changes is that there are times during the peak hours that our parking garages are full, which is really what we want to be the case. We moved to increase the financing options for business and residents interested in reducing their electrical energy expenses by approving a resolution entering into a program which is called PACE, which is the Property Assessed Clean Energy Program. This has the potential to significantly increase the amount of clean energy produced in our city and to reduce the expenses of those people who wish to choose that option. To make our downtown more vibrant, to reduce the dependency on cars, and to encourage people to walk, we acted to increase residential density near BART and near the downtown. The result was more residential construction in downtown Walnut Creek than at any time in our history. There are over 10 multifamily residential construction projects going on right now in our city. Many will be completed in 2015, but some new ones will start, and we'll see some others come in for approval. Residential construction in our downtown will continue to be a major focus of community attention, as well it should be. I reintroduced Walnut Creek Walks this year, And the first walk, as I commented earlier, was a downtown residential construction site walk. I did that walk twice with Gail Vassar, our community and outreach manager. Over 70 people attended those 2 walks. They had a lot of questions. They asked about height, about setbacks, about the impact of schools, about parking, and whether or not we were requiring them to comply with parking standards, about traffic, and what impact these newcomers will have in our community. And there was a lot of concerns, and we talked about it. Then we stopped, as you could tell, at the Brio, one of the first ones to be, actually the first one to be completed in this new round. And we were able to say that with its 300 units, it was fully parked, it had good setbacks, it was putting in good vegetation, and we talked about a couple of the other things, and you see on the far right side, you can see what looks like a sidewalk. And that sidewalk presently is a sidewalk to nowhere. It runs right into the Postal Service property. But this is one of the things that some of your city staff work on, because the vision here is really to create a pathway from the Iron Horse Trail to the BART station that is not on Ignacio Valley Road. And you have to start sometime, you have to start someplace. It will eventually be there. It may not be real soon because you have to work with the federal government on a part of it. But the goal is to create a safe pathway to BART from the Iron Horse, and I think that will be a significant advantage for our city. Our decisions have permanently changed how downtown Walnut Creek will look and function forever, and hopefully, and I believe so, very much for the best. We sought to protect our community by stopping PG&E from cutting down over 700 trees in our community. Sadly, they have come back with a request to cut about 400 trees. It's significantly lower than it was, but we still we hope to work with them. And I'm looking at Tom Garino from PG&E when I say this. We hope to work with them to reduce that number even further so that we can maintain the community character that we so value and treasure. We reduced our greenhouse gas footprint by providing funding to make the County Connection bus that goes between the Creekside area and BART and around and through our downtown a free ride to passengers. Ridership tripled. That is how much that multifamily community there really appreciated the opportunity to have free access to BART. We moved to be a cleaner city, single-use plastic bag ordinance and our polystyrene ban. The success is visible. Our city is cleaner. If the indications from studies that San Jose has done about the effect of its ban are correct, we will see a reduction of about 75% of the trash that we have to pick up every spring. We acted to protect our open space area by moving to acquire 5 acres of publicly held land, presently owned by East Bay Mud, that is within our Sugarloaf open space, and this is a picture that's very close to that. We reduced our water use by installing drought-tolerant plants in some of our park areas. We allocated an additional $470,000 of one-time money to implement the Climate Action Plan, and equally importantly, we directed that money be spent on community rather than municipal actions because the benefits are greater. We enhanced our quality of life by improving the playgrounds in all of our parks, but most specifically by building an outstanding all-abilities playground. Once we made the initial decision and allocated a total of $350,000 to that effort, we received outstanding support from the county, and thank you, Supervisor Mitchoff, and the community, and ultimately built a $1.3 million playground that many consider to be the Disneyland in Walnut Creek. We moved to be a healthier city by enacting a strong secondhand smoke ordinance. We enhanced our image as a city that embraces public art by bringing the Hand of Peace, a signature piece of public art, back to our city and prominently placed it in Civic Park. And that's a picture of it in the early evening. In addition, the utility box art program of Walnut Creek downtown and the actions by some developers to use construction fencing to display art are further enhance our reputation as a community that embraces and relishes art. Finally, we celebrated our centennial in true Walnut Creek style with a lot of wonderful events and community support, although the Contra Costa Times did wonder at one stage if this celebration would ever end. I particularly enjoyed the dedication of the Centennial Grove, which include the planting of acorns by students from the Seven Hills Green Kids Committee. In my remarks, I quoted the author, Nelson Henderson, who said, "The real meaning of life is to plant trees, the shade under which you do not expect to sit." I am hopeful, however, that these kids will be able to return to Walnut Creek someday with their kids and tell them about the trees that were merely acorns when they were kids. 2014 was a year with significant accomplishments, but a good city and a good community are always a work in progress. I'm excited about our future. Let me talk to you a little bit about 2015 and beyond. First, we will act on many of the things that we started in 2014. One is the West Downtown Specific Plan, which covers 172 acres and is and this is a picture from 1936, by the way, of the area. It's a little different now. The West Downtown is bordered by 680 on the west, California on the east, includes the Walnut Creek Transit Village, and Olympia on the south. It is a huge area, and with the possible exception of the General Plan 2025, it is the most ambitious planning effort the city has undertaken. There are a number of important issues to be determined in this plan that will guide the development of this area for more than 30 years, and we hope that you will consider being a part of that, and it will take a significant part of at least the first half of 2015. We will also complete the pedestrian master plan to make the city safer for people who like to walk like I do, and an update to the public art master plan. We will start work on the North Downtown specific plan, which is Civic on the south and east, 680 on the west, and Parkside on the north. We will likely act on several ordinances, including a transportation demand ordinance, a wireless communications facility ordinance, and possibly a regional taxi ordinance in order to make those things more effective in terms of their operation. We will work on changing the zoning in the Shadelands Business Park to make it more flexible, work on enhancing our downtown, and work on securing a downtown hotel. We will consider building a new city-owned parking garage in downtown Walnut Creek, and we'll start construction of a new pool at Larkey Park. Just as with the All Abilities Playground, it was amazing to see the community and the county, and thank you, Supervisor Anderson, step in with significant financial support to make the Larkey Pool much better than it could have been with just city financing. It will be a treasure for the future. One of the community partners that participated so much in that was the Aquanauts, the Walnut Creek Aquanauts, who celebrate their 50th anniversary in Walnut Creek in 2018 and are looking to make Larkey Pool their home for years to come. On the private side, we will likely see the completion of the second new parking garage at Broadway Plaza, and it was amazing to see how quickly that first garage went up, as well as the completion of the center part of the retail redevelopment. And we will likely see the completion of the orchards that I mentioned before that will hopefully really help revitalize the Shadelands Business Park. This kind of shows you what the relationship is between the existing plan for the area and the proposed. And you can see a significant increase in housing units, a moderate increase in office space, and a smaller increase in retail. And this is where I was going next and say, and I hope that we will see the opening of a new rooftop dining experience in Walnut Creek, right at probably one of the most important corners in our city, and we're really looking forward to that. So that's a part of what 2015 will look like, but 2015 is also the start of Walnut Creek's second century. You could call it Walnut Creek 101 if you wish. And where were you in Walnut Creek 101? It doesn't quite resonate yet, but maybe it will someday. What will Walnut Creek be like in 20, 30, 40, or 50 years? I might be here at the early part of that. I don't think I'll be here at the later part of that. I believe that we will continue to be fiscally conservative and politically cautious. And by those terms, I mean that we don't take on huge amounts of debt without a clear mechanism for funding the repayment of that debt. And we don't take positions on issues of national or international concern, but we focus on those issues that are important to our community and how we can make our community the best that it can be. We will give attention to putting a sales tax measure on the ballot. This is a graph that shows the projections out through 2021, 2022. It shows that the projected expenses continue to be in excess of the projected revenues, and doesn't look like that's changing anytime. In the past, we have been able to construct some of the significant community facilities that we have constructed because we've had a surplus and we've built on that surplus. We didn't spend the surplus, but we saved it, and we built some things that are very special in our community using that surplus. When you have a projection going forward of a continued deficit, you don't have the opportunity to build a reserve upon which you can build important community facilities. Two quick more slides. This kind of shows you that of every property tax dollar you get, the city gets less than 10 cents. And on every sales tax dollar you pay, 1 cent comes to the city of Walnut Creek. So as you look forward, neither of these are going to be significant sources of revenue. And then this shows what our general fund revenues, and comparing just before the recession and today. And you can see that the property tax on the left side doesn't show a lot of change. The sales tax doesn't show a lot of change. There's a reduction in the other taxes and revenues. Most of that is attributed to the fact that in 2007, 2008, the Walnut Creek Library Foundation gave us a significant payment as part of the construction of the library. The biggest change has obviously been in the fees and department. We have adopted a policy where we're trying to move towards full cost recovery. But you can see from this, we're probably at the limits of what we can do in terms of full cost recovery. And we may well have to think about finding another source. And there isn't much room for that. But it is not the financial projections that are so compelling to me on this issue. Last year, we obviously went through an effort to try to explain to the public what our fiscal situation was. And I think it showed significant improvement in terms of what people understood what our fiscal situation was. But I was tremendously impressed when just before we made our final decision, which was not to put it on the ballot, 10 nonprofit groups asked us to put the sales tax measure on the ballot. These groups represented a wide array of community interest and quality of life interests. Their demonstration of community support for such a measure is reminiscent to me of what our residents did in the 1970s to create the invaluable open space that we all treasure. Sorry. Okay, the quality of life in our community is high because the open space, parks, the schools, the arts, and the dining and shopping, and many other things all contribute to our quality of life. We cannot continue to maintain that quality of life for years into the future without identifying an additional revenue source. I'm going to go on to a little beyond the next couple of years for the next couple of remarks and start with this. We all smiled when R2-D2 and C-3PO were introduced to us in 1976 in Star Wars. But just as computers have changed how we perform many mental tasks, we are much closer today to the time when robots will take over a significant part of the things that we do that are physical in nature. Will we even work, or will work even be known in 50 years as it is today? How will drones affect our life? If Amazon can use drones, why can't Safeway? Why can't Nordstrom? Why can't you or I? Well, we need an ordinance someday to regulate where drones can fly so they don't fly over your house at 25 feet and wake you up in the middle of the night. We are also seeing a dramatic revolution towards the autonomous car. Some people like it, some people don't. But imagine having a car that drops you off at the restaurant, parks itself, and then returns to pick you up when your meal is done. People will be able to work, read a book, or watch a movie while traveling to a destination the autonomous driver takes you to. One of our biggest projects in the next decade will be the repaving of Ignacio Valley Road. How should our normal road design practices be modified for the vehicle and the driver of the future? I also want to talk for a minute about climate change. We all want a world where our kids and our grandkids can live, breathe, work, and play. With the rise in global temperature of the Earth and the rise in CO2 in our atmosphere, what we have relied on, what we have assumed and taken for granted for so many years, is at risk. The average temperature of the Earth has risen steadily since 1900, but since 1970, temperatures have risen at an average of 3 degrees Fahrenheit per century. 2014 was the warmest year on record. In terms of CO2 percentages prior to 1900, normal climatic changes saw a variation between 200 and 300 parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere. Below it, 180 parts per million, photosynthesis does not occur and life does not exist. We do not know the upper limit, but we have exceeded 400 parts per million, and the percentage is rising by 2 parts per million per year. The amount of CO2 in our atmosphere today is 20% more than it was when I was born. Climate change is a global issue, but the impacts are local. In California, one effect we are seeing is a reduction in the amount of rainfall and a change in when it rains, which results in a very low snowpack, which results in very low snow melt and snow runoff, which is what fills our reservoirs. With no rain in the forecast, our wettest month of the year is going to be the driest January in history. While Walnut Creek cannot solve the problem, there are things that we can do to make sure that Walnut Creek remains a livable place. They include things that we commonly recognize, like changing how we use energy and water, reducing the heat island effect by planting trees and installing solar panels. But we need to think a little differently about this. This is a solar tree in place, produces some effects. So maybe we don't have to always think about solar panels the way we think about solar panels. They may not always have to go on the roof. This is a wind turbine in Chicago, which produces energy, doesn't kill birds, and maybe we need to be thinking about how can we embrace the new technology that is coming forward that we should be utilizing as we move forward. However, I also believe, this won't surprise my counterparts on the council, that we need to bring agriculture back to Walnut Creek and back to central Contra Costa County. We are witnessing the beginning of the third agricultural revolution. In Asia and in the United States, we are seeing a move towards indoor agriculture and the use of specialized indoor agriculture technology. In one 25,000 square foot plant in Japan, they are producing 10,000 heads of lettuce a day, using 1% of the water that it takes a head of lettuce to grow in the field. This is a tremendous opportunity for us to grow food locally. This is a subject the City Council will be addressing this spring, and I hope you participate. To be successful, we require a public-private partnership, but indoor agriculture technology represents an opportunity for research, an opportunity for education, an opportunity for jobs, and the opportunity to feed our community with healthy food that is grown locally. The technology is moving so fast that the next 5 years will determine whether Central Contra Costa County will be known as a center of agricultural excellence or continue to be known as a transportation corridor. I said at the outset that I was excited about the future, and I am. If we embrace the new technology and work in partnership when we can make a better future. Abraham Lincoln once said that there are things that we can accomplish better together than we can alone. One only needs to look at what we have accomplished with the Shadelands Business Park, with the All Abilities Playground, with Larkey Park, and the Downtown Enhancement Initiative to see a few examples of what we can accomplish when we work together rather than by working alone. And I hope to walk the path to the future cooperatively and collaboratively with you. Thank you for all you do to make Walnut Creek the very special place it is. Have a good day and a great year.
Thank you, Mayor Simmons. I think we have time for a couple of questions, so we'll take a couple. Mr. Mayor, do you expect the pace of residential growth to continue, and will that make downtown more congested?
If by congested you mean with people, the answer is yes, and I'm looking forward to that. I like a very active, lively, and vibrant downtown. All the analysis that I have seen said that we should really encourage transit and set parking standards in such a level that encourage people who want to live in our downtown but don't necessarily want to own a car. So I think we will probably see some more cars, but I think the congestion will be of people, not of cars. And yes, we are going to continue.
Why do we have to pay 10 cents a bag to companies that never used plastic?
I wonder if I know who sent this question in. You know, we thought about that a lot, and that was what was in some of the other ordinances that we looked at, the standard ordinances. And we were requiring the retailers to make a shift, and this is a form of compensating them for making a shift so that they're not losing money in making the shift from the plastic, which was really inexpensive to them, but also had a huge adverse impact externally, and to go to the plastic bag. And when you, anyhow, I'll leave it at that.
We're getting close on time, so we'll do one more. As the economy continues a robust expansion, will the city address our aging office building inventory through identification of development of downtown office building sites?
Oh, that's a new question. I don't know about the downtown, if you're talking about the pedestrian retail downtown. I think when you saw the slide about the west downtown, there was a clear vision to put additional office there. And I think that if this is of interest, that when we start the process for the north downtown specific plan, which is very close to our pedestrian downtown, that is the place for those issues to be, those concerns to be expressed and identified, so that, you know, the people that work on the plan can make an appropriate adjustments in the plan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Simmons.